Salam, salam, Ahwat. Walahum. Captain Eritrea. I got a special treat for you guys today. I got some Afar Jaganus with me. I'm very excited to present our Afar brothers from Eritrea, the indigenous Afar people that have been oppressed. And without further ado, you guys get to see them, but we'll go ahead and let the music play out. All right. Okay. Salam, Ihwat, Kamalahum. Today, I brought some special guests. Brought our brother Ahmed, Mohamed, and I brought my brother, he exited. Ahmed will be back. We have Shehem, Abdullah. It's Abdallah, Mish. Hold on. Abdallah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
I'm good. Well, how you guys doing? We finally got our Afar brothers and sisters. We're excited. You'll be amazed how many Eritrean youth don't know about the Afar. Even the grown-ups that don't know about the Afar. We came in a little late today. We had technical difficulties with the internet, so we had to come back, re-engage it. But we're back on. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Shehem.
Yeah, my name is Shehem Abdallah, and I was born in Assab, Eritrea. Currently, I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm a member of Afar, Eritrean Afar National Conference.
Oh, nice. Could you tell us about the Eritrean Afar Congress?
Yeah, Eritrean Afar National Congress. My brother Ahmed will explain to you better. But it's diaspora Afar organization, and generally we're just trying to bring Afar issues to the mainstream, and join with the other Eritrean diaspora groups to just to basically introduce ourselves and introduce the Afar cause, and basically help our people and help Eritreans at the same time.
Absolutely, that's awesome. So let me ask you. You say you were born in Eritrea.
Yes.
At what point did you leave Eritrea?
I left Eritrea in 1988 to Djibouti, and then I stayed in Djibouti as a refugee for about a year, and then moved to Canada, and basically like at the end of 1988, 89. And,
okay.
I've been living here since.
Which part of Canada?
I live in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Nice. Is there a huge Afar community in Vancouver?
Not really. Not a lot of us here. But we have a few families here, and we have a community organization, and we try to introduce ourselves. Afar, basically, in the past, we haven't left our land. If we did, we probably get education and then just come back to Djibouti or Eritrea before. But and we're not. I mean, we stay home and try to change the situation around us. And right now, like it's a desperate time, so we had to leave, like like everybody else. We have a lot of Eritrean refugees everywhere here in Vancouver, everywhere in Canada. I was in Calgary. There's a lot of Eritrean refugees all over the world right now because we live in a big numbers instead of I don't know, but we basically I think we're the second highest. We got the second highest refugee population in the world after Syria, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I heard on the news. So, and the situation is so hard that everybody's basically just bailing out, I guess, and just they can't bear it. So they leave it in a big number. So that's what it is.
I see. So now, when you say the second highest refugee situation, you're talking about as far as
Afar, actually, about 200,000 Afars left in the past. I'll say about like 10, 15 years. And most of them displaced from their land. They lost their property. They lost their land. They lost their basically they lost everything, and they were harassed every day, imprisoned, torture, on all the above things, and just desperate people. And then most of them in jail. They would just come in the middle of the night and then grab somebody, and you never see them again. And I don't mean it doesn't happen all over Eritrea, but I think it's just. The situation is, I think, much harsher for us, and Ahmed will explain it in details. But that's what it is.
Okay, thank you. So let me ask you. Jonas is saying there's double talking. Is there like a double talking, or is it clear?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, brother Ahmed.
Perfect.
Is there? You guys hear double Zaraba? You hear double talking, or just I hear one?
I didn't hear double.
Okay, it's good to go. All right, no, good to go. I know we lost brother Ahmed Mohamed for a second. Introduce yourself, brother.
Wonderful. Really apologize for that. I was just something happened the internet. So thank you so much, Captain Eritrea, for inviting us. This is really an honor to come to your show and discuss about the Afar plight in Eritrea. Also want to acknowledge the team behind this program, Brother Jonas, Salem, and all the team Freedom that are working hard to make this possible. So I really appreciate that. So my name is Ahmed Yusuf Mohamed. I am president of Eritrean Afar National Congress. Our organization, the EANC, is mandated by the Afar people to fight for their freedom against the tyrannical government of Eritrea, which is responsible for ethnic persecution and displacement of our people in Dankalia, a traditional Afar homeland. So that is a short introduction about myself and my organization.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I know he said Canada, you yourself as well as are in Canada. And I was asking brother Shehem, is there a huge Afar population? He gave the breakdown. He said you'll go more into detail, but I guess the question is, regardless of how big the population is, how much support do you have, and does the government in Canada support your movement?
Well, thank you, Captain. The number of Afar in the diaspora compared to the other Eritrean in general is very few. Having said that, most recently in the past 10 years, we have seen influx of Eritrean refugees coming from refugee camps mainly from Ethiopia. But we have a sizable community here in Ottawa, in Canada. Also, dispersed in many parts of Canada. Also, there is a good number of Eritrean Afar in Sweden. I would say those two main countries, Sweden and Canada, has been generous enough to resettle the Afar Eritreans more than anyone else. And in the United States as well, there is a growing number of United States refugees in Pennsylvania and around Maryland and that area, Washington.
Wow, that's awesome. Right now, the Afar are a hot topic everywhere. They're a hot topic in Clubhouse. They're a hot topic in Instagram, hot topic in Facebook, everywhere. And every time we have a discussion, and I know we did a show together and with Brother Jonas and Salam on Clubhouse. And I remember you came and gave the history and of the Afar nation,
Mhm.
and everyone was in awe. Everyone was amazed. They couldn't believe what everyone knows in the world is okay. We have Eritrea, we have the 9 Beheres, we have the Asa port. That's all they know. They don't really understand the indigenous Afar tribes within the waterfront. They don't understand all this. They don't understand the Afar people has been displaced, experiencing genocide the entire time, but also through Western influence. The Western
Mhm.
world trying to profit off the port or the mining of the ocean and the water is at the expense of the Afar people.
Yeah.
And a lot of Eritreans don't know this. So what I wanted to do was ask Brother Shehem about his thoughts on that and what he thinks about the fact that everyone is now just figuring out what. Although most Eritreans understand Afar, no one really highlighted them. I know there was a picture of the young boy with the. I remember that picture of the Afar, and people say no, he's Bini Ahmed. Some say he's Afar with the tabah tabah. Um,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and people get it confused. So, Brother Shaheem, if you want to tell us why the Afar has been low key and hidden for so long.
Yeah, I think people the more concerned about the land than the population. And you gotta, if you love the country, you love the people as well. And because they don't educate themselves. And somebody will tell you, hey, I'm Eritrean. And what do you know about Eritrea? And what do you know about the people? You have to know the whole thing. You cannot just say I'm Eritrean and I know Asmara, I'm from Asmara, whatever. Just to study up, know your neighbors, know your people, know all those things. And then we can build a better community that way. We can understand each other, we can understand each other's culture, we will have respect for each other. And that's what we should do. Educate yourself, because today you can Google everything, try to meet Afar friends, meet Afar people, discuss with them, call them, whatever. And I mean, we grew up in Asap, and we grew up with Ahmad can attest to that. And we grew up with people of different background, like whether Ethiopian, Oromo, Tigrinya, Afar, Arabic. The typical Afar person will speak like 3, 4 languages, because that was the respect we had for each other. I basically speak like about 5 languages, and Ahmad probably says the same thing. And we learned most of the language when we were young, because we played outside. We didn't know who was who. We just brothers, play soccer or whatever. So you gotta educate yourself. You cannot be. You don't try to be like a leader or whatever. While you don't know nothing about the people. Oh, this is the land. Whatever. We have a port. We have this. We have that. But educate yourself is my message to other Eritreans, and we will work together, and this will come to an end, and we'll build a good country. So that's all I have to say. And thank you, Captain, for
No,
giving us the
okay,
opportunity.
no, thank you, sir. I'll let Jonas introduce himself before we go into the history of the Afar. Jonas, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Jonas, and obviously, I'm definitely an advocate for inclusivity, and I love Eritrean Afar. I love Afar, and I love every diversity that we have in Eritrea. And I'm a big believer in what Shaheem said on the key of educating ourselves among each other's, especially grievances. That's a big deal, and a lot of people are starting to agree to that and understand that. And if you want that solidarity, that unity that you're looking for, then it starts with recognition, and so that we can get to the reconciliation. And so it's a beautiful thing. So so I'm an advocate, and I'm here with Team Freedom. I'm definitely with Team Freedom, and I support what we're going to be discussing today. Thanks so much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Brother Jonas. So the panel, this is my panel for today. I appreciate it. If Salam happens to join us later, that's fine. But first, what I would like to do is I'd like to empower the Afar people. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to educate ourselves on the Afar and their history. So I'll let Brother Ahmed take that. And can you give us a history lesson from 1869 from Eritrean Afar perspective?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so if I can share that screen, hopefully this won't cause any problem. I had the screen up. I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
Where is my window? Just give me a couple of seconds. Okay, so I have that.
We added Yona, so it might not. It depends.
It may not work.
I can take. Well,
No,
okay.
No.
We could take up to 8 people, so it might work.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly do that.
Yeah, that would be very nice. And the good thing is the show is in English, so there's a lot of my younger people that are going to be interested in learning about the Afar people. A lot of military people that I work with as well, because everything is in Tigrina usually. You know.
Absolutely. I think I had the screen somewhere. Okay, so let me cancel this again, and apologies for these technical.
While Ahmed is prepping that, Jonas, let me ask you a question. Jonas, why is there a sudden interest in the Eritrean Afar? They're sizzling right now. Everybody's talking about the Afar. Is it because Team Freedom added this and that we've been promoting, or is it just because it's time? Because everybody understand the key to Eritrea is the Afar in that port.
Okay. Well, I would say it's a topic simply because it was something that's been hidden. The displacement, the oppression, and so forth. No one spoke about it. Now that people are speaking about it, now people are paying more attention, and so we spoke up about it. And then, of course, with everything that's going on in Tigray, and then it became it's a bigger deal now because people are civilians are dying and so forth. And so that's something that needs to be discussed today to get that out in the open, so that way people can understand the dynamics of what's going on. And
there you go.
Yeah, it's just
now you have
it's
it.
the right thing to do to talk about any kind of injustice. So that way stop. Okay, I see it.
Okay,
I'm going to go on mute.
Oh, we see it. Go ahead. Okay, Ahmed, go ahead. Teach us about the Afar. We're willing and able and ready to learn.
Okay, if you can see my screen, that's wonderful. So I'm just going to run through it. There's a long history, and mostly I think what Jonas was saying and what you were saying is because most of our history is not written. If it is written, it's distorted. So that's why it's very important to hear from the Afars themselves, because we get this information from our traditional elders. Like I said, this is about 5 millennia history, but I'm going to go through the recent history, which brought the colonization of the European colonization. That's most of the international world, the world at large, have come to know about the Afar, and this is 1869 when the scramble for Africa started. The right side of the Afar triangle, as you can see, this is focused on Dankalia, which we are from, which the Eritrean Afar are from. But the colonization did not end in Eritrea, but also included Djibouti. The Afars in Djibouti were also colonized. So to come back to the question, when Italians came into the Afar territory, known as Dankalia, in 1869, this was a time when the Suez Canal was finally was finished, and the Italians, just like many other Europeans, were divvying up the African continent. So for us was the Italians. So the Italians came in as business people prior to colonizing the entire Eritrea, and the colonization started in Assab. So the Italians, like I said at the beginning, have recognized the Afar rule to Dankalia. They have not just the Italians, but also French have made an agreement in treaties that includes, if I could show you this slide here, this is the treaties and agreements that the Afar have signed with the Italians and French, you know, the superpower of the day. This is like United States coming to Afar in Eritrea today and have an agreement. That means international recognition was there. That even though it did not last, the Italians, of course, realize the potential of Eritrea and the region. They marched on with their colonial fascist mentality to have full control of the coastal territory. And then they marched on to other parts of Eritrea, but the Afar were in the way. So the Afar, for example, the Afar sultanates, like you know, historically there is 5 Afar sultanates, 2 of them in Eritrea, that is Sultanate of Rahaita and Sultanate of Biru at that time. Sultanate of Biru is actually destroyed not only by Italian, but by the current Eritrean regime. There is a very few, and you know, the Eritrean government does not even recognize the authority of the sultanates in Biru. Nevertheless, the sultanates of Buru played a major role to fight against, to rise up and fight against the colonization of Italy, and that fighting cost Afar dearly. You know, there's about thousands of Afar people who lost their life, including the leading sultanates, Sultan Yasin Haisama and his brother Mohamed Haisama, and his father, father of Yasin Haisama. All of these to say is that the Afar sacrifice were incomparable to what others went through fighting the colonization of Africa at that time. So to make the story short, the Afar were obviously defeated. They sought help from Ethiopian emperor at the time, but militarily Ethiopia could not give them any weaponry to fight against. But you know, I was making a joke last time that the Ethiopians claim to be Africa's #1 nation that have not been colonized, but they tend to forget the sacrifice that the Afar people gave in order for Italians prior to the defeat in inside part of Ethiopia, because like I said, the Afar were overrun by military might of the heavy weaponry and the European colonialists. But nevertheless, the Afar put up this fight for 30 years. Only after the defeat of the Afar and the killing of Yasin Haisama, the Afar Sultanate, in 1935, the Italians were able to penetrate inside Eritrea and into Ethiopia. And this is why Ethiopia was not colonized, because the Afar served as a buffer zone between the colonialists and the Abyssinians. This is to say our history was distorted, never been acknowledged by the Abyssinians. And in fact, the Afar were not part of any Abyssinian king. Only the Afar were incorporated in 1945. Prior to that, the Afar ruled themselves with complete governing structure with customary law called Mad'a, and they have made agreements with people of the region and were respected internationally by those across the Red Sea, by the Yemeni people, as well as Saudi Arabia and others like Egypt and Ottoman Empire and others like that. So this is just a brief history of the Afar people, the rights of self-determination. They had that We know most of the time we talk about rights of self-determination now, but the Afar enjoyed this 300 years ago, and unfortunately, the Afar circumstance is far, far worse than the colonialist time right now in under the Eritrean military rule. So that is just the brief history of the Afar that is not reported or taught in the schools, either in Eritrea or in Ethiopia. Also in Djibouti, by the way, like I said, Sultan or the Afar sultanates at the time. The Afar Sultan means a king. The king of Afar was killed by the colonialists, not only in Eritrea but also in Djibouti. The same Sultan of Gobad have also resisted the colonization of French at that time, and in fact was taken as a captive with his people, and he was killed and never to be found. I think the story is that he was taken to Madagascar, another French colonial territory, and he died there in prison. So this is to say that the Afar people are the indigenous people of this land. The Europeans of the superpowers at that time have recognized the Afar, their self-rule, the self-governance, the structure, the way of life, the economic way of life, the territorial integrity, where all of this was not a question. It was completely recognized by those who invade them, even though the last result was to break up the Afar into the current sovereignties of Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti. This is why you would find the Afar today in Djibouti split up in 3 countries, in Ethiopia, Djibouti, and in Eritrea. So briefly, before I go further into my presentation, so I would leave it there, Brother Captain. If you have any other question, we can carry on from there.
Okay, no, that's excellent, Brother Ahmed. Thank you. Unless Brother Shehem and Jonas, you wanted to add any questions to that, or?
Yeah, I had a question, Ahmed. On
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Okay. So my question is on the 1945 with Abyssinia or Ethiopia. It was autonomy up until 1945. After 1945, what was their governance? Was it autonomy or something else?
Yeah, well, this still continued until today. The Afar recognition, which you see today in Ethiopia, we're talking the Afar in general at that time, but Eritrea were nowhere to be found at that time. So there was 1945. So the Afar Sultanate, the major Afar Sultanate, is the Sultan of Ausa in Ethiopia, that ruled the Afar people according to the traditional sultanate there. And in fact, one of the, if I'm not mistaken, the Sultan of Ausa at that time was also imprisoned. I think perhaps died in prison in Ethiopia, by the way. So the Afar were fighting in all directions, coming from the European colonialists, coming from the Ethiopian kings, I mean the Abyssinian kings. So they were getting it from all sides. So until then, the Afar, like I said, was at the margins of Ethiopia. They were not part of Ethiopia, and they had relations with groups or ethnicities like from the Aksum, from the Tigray, and from Abyssinians, from the Oromo and the Somalis. You know, they were respected each other, and they knew each other's territory, not transgress against each other. So they live somewhat relative peace. So until revolution, people starting to ask for their self-determination and independence in case of Eritrea. When that happened in I think it was 69, 74. I think the 74 was at the end of the Emperor Haile Selassie. So the Afar self-determination to be recognized as a state was, and the Afar struggled with the against the Derg, and with the help of also people like TPLF and the Afar have, Tigrayan Liberation Struggle, like TPLF, and the others in Eritrea as well. So the Afar became, the ELF, but mainly the Afar in Ethiopia, through their self-determination struggle, they were able to secure for the Afar nation a state, which they enjoy today as Afar regional state. This was the arrangement after the TPLF defeated Derg, and the TPLF, knowing the Afar background and knowing each other as rebel groups, they've recognized the Afar fight. They knew each other very well. Meles knew the Afar leaders, the ALF, Afar Liberation Front, which was led by the Sultan, and then later on the most recent Sultan of Ausa, Sultan Hamfare Ali Mirah. At that time, it was the head of ALF, Afar Liberation Front. So they knew each other, and they recognized the struggle of Afars of self-determination need to be recognized, and the constitutional arrangement should include the Afar as a state in Ethiopia. So that's where we are today in terms of the Ethiopian side. The rest of the story in Eritrea, as you know, it is very bleak, and none of the rights of self-determination for Afar or any other Eritreans are recognized. We are under tyrannical military rule. We need to change that, and this is why we are discussing all this history, so people can understand. Going forward, we should not make the mistakes that other nations have made, recognizing other people's, other nationalities' rights in Eritrea particularly is very important for our unity, for our solidarity, for our democratic transition. All of this can be achieved by respecting each other, by recognizing historic, long-established history for Afar people, and other nationalities need to be respected and guaranteed in the constitutional arrangement. Just like Ethiopia did, we can do it. There is difficulties. There is people who are not in favor of certain arrangements, but the only way we can live in peace and together as a coexistence as a people of diverse nationality in Eritrea is to recognize that. There is no other way, no other superpower, or there's no off-the-shelf constitution that will fix all our problems. We need to come down and sit down, and this is the constitutional arrangement that we want, and this is the way we go. This is our roadmap should look like, and this way we will definitely come to the end of what is complete misery of all Eritreans, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or religion. We are all suffering under this military tyrant, and we need to change that.
Sir, I have one question for Brother Shehem. So this is all inclusive. You guys are my Afar brothers, and my show, the thing people like about my show, right? Captain Eritrean Jonas and Team Freedom show. We're very direct. We grew up in America, wherever else, outside Eritrea. So we don't beat around the bush when we ask questions. And I got your permission with respect to ask hard questions, right?
Absolutely.
People need the hard questions. So
Absolutely.
This was for you, Brother Shehem. Myself, Jonas, and Team Freedom, we're all about unity, Christians, Muslims. And I know that's the elephant in the room. A lot of people always make that. For me, it's not the elephant in the room. I'm comfortable. I could go to a mosque as a Christian and pray with my brothers as long as I'm all the way to the right or left and I don't break Saleh, right? I get it. Gin, why do people think, now I know this affects, first question for you, Brother Shehem, is the Afar nation predominantly all Muslim, or do they have Christians? Can you tell me what
Afar, I'd say 100% they're Muslims. There's few Christians in Afar, but majority 100% they're Muslims.
Okay. Next question. Perfect. We got that. Everybody's learning. In Eritrea, I remember the ELF, Eritrean Liberation Front versus EPLF, and then EPLF worked with TPLF. You guys know the history. They always try to brand, and they say that ELF was a Muslim movement, when we all know, because my father was ELF, that it was Muslim Christian Brotherhood combined, but Isaias entered it, tried to break it, the deal. How do the Afar nations see this? Do they see there's okay, like Agazian movements, Tigray-Tigrini movement, you got all these other movements.
Yeah.
How does that affect the Afar people? This is for you, brother Ahmed. And how do you view that? Or do you guys see that as something minuscule, minute, and not even matter?
Yeah. So the ELF, you raise the question of ELF later on, the Agazian. First of all, prior to ELF, like I said, prior to what the struggle for a liberation struggle, there was a liberation struggle led by the Afar. Like I said, they fought against the colonialist, which was really caused a havoc across Africa. And prior to all of those struggles, we were at the forefront of the struggle. So when the ELF, before that, people like I mentioned, people like Mohamed Umar Akito could be looked at as one of the founding fathers of Eritrea, who rejected the Ethiopia rule at the time. He's a cousin, he's an uncle of Shehem, by the way. So all of these Afar leaders that came in uh, uh, before the ELF. The ELF will recognize this. If you spoke with people who are acquainted with the struggle for Eritrea, they would recognize Dankalia's part. They will recognize the Afar leadership. In fact, I've written just quickly few names. If you allow me, I'll go run through them quickly. Prior to, like I said, the ELF, there was Harakat Tahrir, so the Afar were leaders of those at that time, like Idris Gumhed. This is all of these people are martyrs. Idris Gumhed, Usman Ali from the ELF, Ali Muhammad Ibrahim, Ahmed Ali Abu Bakr, Ali Kopani, Ahmed Hilal. Many of people may know Ahmed Hilal, Muhammad Ahmed, Abdu Ali Igima, Abdullah Ali. These are all of these Afar leaders have sacrificed, have paid their ultimate life to defend what is what you would see Eritrea to come up as a nation. So all of this is to say that the Afar were not just people at the margin; they were the core leadership, military commanders in Dankalia. No weaponry in Eritrea could come unless the Afar okayed on it. The Afar were the link to Yemen, to Saudi Arabia, even to Syria. All of these ELF leadership would recognize the key link to Eritrea's liberation struggle was the Afar people. So this is to say that you may not find those stories or histories unless you dig, unless you talk to the Afar people themselves. And this is the facts that the Afar were integral part. Like I mentioned to the group the other day, Isaias Afwerki, no one knew he would turn this way. I mean, the Afar at the time, when there was major fight between the ELF and the EPLF, he took refuge with the Afar. One of the elders I was talking to 2 weeks ago, he said, "Listen, we were hiding Isaias in the mountains with the Afar from the ELF to kill him." So he was saying he forgot that, and look what he's doing to us now. You know what I mean? So I mean, the Afar always treated people with respect, regardless of their ethnicity, their religion, or their political views. They've always accommodated people in Dankalia to fight for the freedom of Eritrea and the liberation struggle. So this is the history of the ELF and the relation between the ELF and the Afar. Unfortunately, there was a time the ELF and the Afar relationship broke, and that was towards the end of the. And this is not from the Afar, according to our scholars. this was actually the ELF turned against the Afar, and that was the cause of their relationship. So this is to say the Afar played a major role in the ELF, leading role, in fact, and the rest is history, as they say. And the Agazian question is something of major concern to the Afar and others like Afar. I don't know if I go through it. I mean, if you want me to go discuss this in the detail later on, but no one accepts extremism. We reject extremism in all its forms. We don't care. We don't care where it comes from. But the Agazians are extremist far-right organization that is hiding behind their diaspora face. They are swimming, with venomous and derogatory, discriminatory views against the Afar and other minorities in Eritrea, and they should be stopped. We don't want those kind of mentality or political ideology should come into Eritrea, and there's no room for it and for that kind of views amongst the Eritrean society.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. So, brother Shehem, I got a question for you following. I know these questions are tough and they put you on the spot, but I like them because the youth, this is where we get confused.
Can I add one more thing? Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
I want to add one more thing for what Ahmed said. He was talking about the Afars and in the struggle for independence. We should include, I think, the late Ali Said Abdallah, who really died mysteriously, and we really don't know what happened. But he was he was part of T.R.A.P as well, and so people like that. And I'm going to go back a little bit further. Ahmed,
I was just talking about those who died on the battlefield. I didn't mean to forget Ali Said Abdallah, but those who he died after the T.R.A.P, the independence. He was a former foreign minister. If you don't know, he was an Afar. He was the first foreign minister of Eritrea, and he died in a mysterious way. He was one of the leading commandos that hijacked the Ethiopian plane to Pakistan. I think it was in the 70s. I'm not sure what year, but he was the one who mastermind of that hijacking that led to the really to give the Eritrean people that liberation struggle, put it in the mood, so to say. So,
of course,
thank you for reminding.
Of course, he died mysteriously. Of course, we understand what that means. Go ahead, brother Shehem. Continue.
Yeah, I wanted to say actually, if you go back and from 1869, I think Italians they tried to make a deal with Afar at one point, including inviting Sultan Mohamed Hamfari to Italy. I have a video of that with the whole ceremonial guard and everything, and it was really like unseen for a fascist government to invite an African in that kind of way. Actually, my grandfather was an interpreter. He's an Italian interpreter back then. And I have a video where maybe I could send it to you when we get a break, or I could just send it to you, Captain, maybe just so you can look at it.
Yeah.
And they refused to make a deal with the Italians because they know they were colonized, they were fascists, and they were trying to take over land, and they said we'd rather die. Including, they actually built a mansion or a castle for Ahmed knows it's in Asab, Mohamed Hamfari's castle today. I don't know if it still exists. It's a historical place the Italians built for Mohamed Hamfari, just to lure them in, and then so they can have a free way to Ethiopia, and the Sultan and the Afars there they said no. So
if the regime was decent enough, they would actually make that castle as monument so they can Eritrean youngsters can learn the history of the Afar sacrifice at that time. So, fortunately.
No, absolutely. So you guys, you gentlemen have been in this struggle for a while, but why hasn't your message been received publicly and worldwide? Why is it now we're just coming out and meeting? How come it's not? Because I found you through our sister Lala Bella, and she was like, "You got to meet this gentleman. They're very strong. There's a strong Afar movement. She's in Canada," and I was amazed that there's Eritreans that are still oppressed, and their voices are oppressed. What can we do to highlight the Afar nation and empower you to be where the world knows everything? What can we do? That's for you, brother.
Absolutely, very important question. The reasons why most of our issues are not in the limelight could be, number one, like I said, the presence of our. It's all in diaspora, as you know. Inside Eritrea, everything is under a blanket of the military. No one can speak. No one can even think of speaking. So the number of diaspora, like I said, the Afar diaspora is very few compared to other Eritreans. And also, mainly we have not done enough to engage people like you and other young Eritreans. The older views are very hard to change. So this is why we are encouraged by the young generation that is clear in their thinking. They have tested and proven what democracy looks like in Canada, in the United States, in the Western world. So they want the same thing for their fellow Eritreans, including the Afar. So those views are helping us. There is going to be we are part of the Eritrean ENCDC Majlis. There's about 21 opposition group, and the ENC is part of that group, and we work closely with particular organizations that are in what do you call, in the who understands the Afar, who believes in the federal model, and who believes in respecting the self-determination of the rights of indigenous people like the Afar people. So we've been getting our ideas and our message across through them. So we are grateful for those kind of engagements. But internationally, we've been doing very well with the United Nations, with the Indigenous Special Rapporteur, who yearly publishes our grievances in Eritrea. In the groups like IWIGA, International Working Group for Indigenous People, Special Rapporteur for Eritrea, most recently with the most recent Special Rapporteur, Mr. Babakir. Prior to that, we worked closely with the Daniela Kravets, and then Sheila Kitarot before her. All of these United Nations special rapporteurs have recognized there is a special threat against the Afar, which is undermining their way of life, undermining their ethnicity, undermining their way of life and history. So we're doing well in terms of international exposure, but there is a lot of work to be done amongst the Eritreans themselves. So we need your help. We need people like you and others to engage with those who have perhaps misunderstanding of the Afar, what we want, and those kind of things. So that's where we are right now, but we are moving forward. We're not going back.
Perfect. So let me, before people want to call and ask questions, they're calling me, but I want to highlight something for everyone before we move on with the hard questions. When I got a list of Eritrean prisoners, right? If we go through the list of Eritrean prisoners, and I'll go through this real quick just to highlight something. Mm-hmm. Dead Abraha, right? Now listen to this. Musa, Ibrahim, Mohamed, Osman, Gaber, Adem, Sheikh, Adem, Isa, Mohammed. Now listen to the names I'm giving you. Mm-hmm. Ali Hassan Izuz, Ibrahim Bakhet Malik Mobotat, Abdul Baham Ali Amhari, Abdul Alim, Abraham Jami, Mo Mohamed, Mo Tahir, Abu Abukar. It just keeps going and going and going. And I'm comparing the prisoners in Eritrea, the Isaias Forki prisoners versus regular Eritreans, you know, because even though he oppresses us, it's always they have one thing in common. Muhammad al-Has, and it just keeps going and going. I'll give you a whole list. It just keeps going, right? It's all mostly a lot of Muslim. Hajj, Alamin, Ibrahim, Abukir, Ahmed, Idris, Adim. Like it just keeps going and going. Is the regime of Eritrea afraid of the Muslim movement? Why are the lowlanders and the Afar and so oppressed in Eritrea that it's starting to become an issue to where you have the Agazian movement, you have the Tigray Tigrini, you have the Abai Tigray, you have all these movements, right? Then you have the lowlanders, you have the Afar, you have the Kunama, you have the Tigray. It seems like if I was Muslim, right? I'm Christian, but if I was Muslim and I live in Eritrea, I'd feel like everyone's working against me. You know what I mean? That's something I would feel if I was in their shoes. And then I would look at all the political prisoners. Majority, 80% are Muslim. Why? Why is there but then there's a lot of Muslims that support Isaias Forki, which was mind-boggling to me. I don't get it. But I feel like our Muslim, this is just my opinion, our Muslim brothers are like so terrified of the Agazian movement and the Tigray Tigray and Abai. I personally don't support the Abai Tigray movement. I believe Eritrea, the 9 Bihars, need to work together to have one Eritrea.
It's an independent nation.
Right. And then Tigray has its own country. Obviously now it's for sure going to be like that, right? Because of the war. But why? Why are the Muslim brothers so oppressed if they're the ones who fought the hardest for the freedom of Eritrea, to include Idris Awate? You know what I mean? Why? Why is this? Or is just me overthinking? Can you explain that?
Yeah, no, we got a problem, man. I mean, you said it. There's this major problem that needs to be addressed. Speaking as Afar, you know, in that list, the Afar list is separate. You know, we have a separate list that goes like that. You know, we have layers of oppression coming down to us, not just as a Muslim, but as ethnicity, as those people who are strategically placed, as those people who have resources, as those people who we are like in tenfold worse, like I would say. And then, you know, you have people like my brother and my relative, like 15, almost 30 members of my family, my own family, have been taken away and killed in a mass grave. And we've yet to open that grave, and we would like that justice to be served at one point. We would like to open up those mass graves in Dankalia. You know, these people were killed as a group. This is why we say this is a group ethnic persecution against people, not individuals. You know, individuals, Tigrinians, Tigray, Saho, Bile, and everybody, Kunama, Afar, everybody paid price. But there is another layer of discrimination, and there's another layer of atrocities happening. So this is what we come in. We say, listen, the Afar people are suffering 3 times worse. So you need to have a solution for that. You know, we will come down to the resource exploitation, what the strategic importance, what Ethiopia is looking for, what others are looking for, all of it to say that our worsening situation is going to go worse. So from what it is. So this is why we say it's critical for us to have a strategic plan that respects the rights of all Eritreans, you know, and all of us are in a bad shape, but there is a special treatment that is happening to the people. This is why people like in Canada, for example, and others are investigating whether the crimes against the Myanmar people are genocide or not. You know, these governments have a specific groups that say, look, what's happening to this minority group in Myanmar, and this is why they are setting up this special tribunals, a special arrangement. This is why international community have came up with the word of genocide. There is problem in Eritrea that is targeting the Afar people in a particular way. And something you mentioned about the names of the list of, there's another thing I will tell you. The governance of Eritrea, you will not find one Afar that is in the top list of the governance of Eritrea. You will find non-Afars. You will find names. I think one of the brother was, I don't know if I have it on this WhatsApp, sent me a list of Eritrean officials. None of them are Afar. That tells you not only Eritrean regime is ethnically genocidal regime, but it wants to continue the domination of others like Afar. So this is to say that there is crimes on a level that is treating everybody, but also there's another layer that is hidden, which is worse to the people like Afar.
Wow, that's deep. No, I love that. Thank you for the educational information. So, brother, and I'm going to ask the same question to you, brother Ahmed. And I know Jonas texted me. He's like, "Hey, you need to ask this question, right?" Jonas is he's helping me. So, self-autonomy, right, and self-determination.
Yeah.
Right, brother Shehem. I'll let you go first. Do you think that's realistic within Eritrea? And if so, what does that mean? Eritrea as a country, Afar as a state, or does that mean Eritrea as a country, Afar as a country separately? Can you explain that to us? Hold on, I think you're on mute. Let me open it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Eritrea as a country and Afar as a state. That because self-determination, and Ahmad will go through this in more detail. He's more educated in this matter more than me, and he's been studying it for a while. But we're part of Eritrea, and we want to stay part of Eritrea because, hey, respect. So what we want, because Ahmad was just talking about how oppressed the Afars are at this moment with the current government. And the thing is, because most of the time, because we have states here, and they elect their own mayor, the city will elect their own mayor and a governor and everything, because people who can understand what people going through are the locals who live there, know the culture and stuff. And then you cannot bring somebody from somewhere else and then say, hey, rule these people. And it will never work. You know, unless without putting any input from the locals into it, and it will never work. And it's just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So we don't want to build another country, or I know there's something going on. Afar want to build their own triangle and all that stuff to discredit the Afar movement like us. But that's not, because our parents fought for Eritrea, our parents fought for Eritrea, and we've been fighting colonization and everything, and we want to stay part of Eritrea, and we're not going anywhere. I'll tell the Agarians, you better get used to us, because it's our life, and we're not going anywhere, you know?
No, that's excellent. Thank you, sir. No, that's a great answer. Right. You ain't going, hey, I support that. You ain't going nowhere. And I'll help you make sure you stay.
We ain't going nowhere. So they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
So, Brother Ahmed, would you like to add to that question?
Yeah. So sure. Yeah. So to come back to the question of self-determination and autonomy and self-governance, this is our key principles in our declaration. I don't know if you can see this. It's called Uppsala Declaration, and it is supported by thousands of Afar people.
Can you put it on the screen?
If you can see it, you can see it this way. Okay,
oh,
here we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So this reference is to the current reality. We're not making this up. And it is drafted taking the current situation on the ground. It talks about the ethnic cleansing. It talks about crimes against humanity. It talks about how the Afar people suffer today. It also talks about the international norm how other indigenous people like Afar should their rights be respected. You know, the UN, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People recognize that indigenous people have the right to self-determination, and and that is exercise the right to self-determination. Indigenous people have the right to autonomy, self-government in matters that relates to their internal local affairs. We're not imposing self-determination on the rest of Eritrea. We're talking about the internal self-rule of the Afar people. This is not taking away anybody's right. You mentioned, how will this be accepted by other Eritreans? You know, like they say, rights are taken, not given. Nobody will give you your right. You demand your right, you take it. So the self-determination of the Afar people is undeniable rights under the international law, and it should be given what the Afar have paid, the sacrifice. Like I started my presentation from the colonial times. You know, all of this need to be taken into consideration, including the current reality on the ground, to say that the Afar enjoyed self-government. They have signed 19 treaties and agreements with colonial powers. Nobody in Eritrea did that. Only the Afar did that. So you look at the history, when you look at the history of the people like here in the First Nations in America, Aboriginals in Australia, they have made treaties with the colonial power. They call it Crown here in Canada. You know, the area that is I live in right now as First Nations capital city of Canada, Ottawa, is named after the Ottawa Nation of First Nation. You know, people have recognized that. Canada have recognized that. You know, they've given like $20 billion annually to address the need of the First Nations communities. The development, the clean water, all of this. This is not enough. They should have given them more, you know. But all I'm saying is the Eritreans, as Eritreans, we cannot be greedy when it comes to the rights of others. If the Afar were granted self-government and autonomy in Dankalia, in the form that Shabiya founded in 1991, it would not take away anything from any other Eritreans. In fact, there was going to be peace among us. There will be development opportunities. There will be resource sharing. There will be other things that glue the Eritrean social fabric together. It would not take away anything. But the Eritreans, most of them are ignorant of the Afar history, and most of them are the Higdavites, have a special agenda, and those who are denying it as opposition is also are misguided in thinking that they will take away any of their freedom or any of democratic rights. It's to the contrary. It will glue us together. It will help us become a united, strong Eritrea. There's examples that we can follow. Switzerland, Canada, United States. These are good examples for us to follow. So self-determination is undeniable rights. We're going to take the self-determination of Afar people. We're not going to beg it or have any question about it.
If it's yours, then it belongs to you. Absolutely. Now let me show
Amen
you.
to that.
Let me show you, gentlemen, what we deal with. I'm Eritrean. Jonas is Eritrean. Brother Ahmed is Eritrean. Brother Shehem is Eritrean, right? We are sitting here right now in English discussing the unity of Eritrea, right?
Yeah.
How to keep Eritrea united with all the 9 Bihers for the betterment of Eritrea, because we care for our people, right? And we understand that through unity, everything's achievable. The only way Isaias Afwerki has power is because people allow it. There's people supporting it, right? But let me show you what I deal with. And this, I know this is not to throw you off, but this is the hardest part about being a justice seeker for people.
Yeah.
Okay, we know Tigray went through whatever they went through, and they're going through genocide. The whole world knows that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as Eritreans, whether you're Afar or whatever, Konama, you could say that's wrong. Genocide is wrong because you've been through it. Your people have been through it. You understand?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you support Wayane. That just means as a humanitarian, your Afar people went through this. So when I speak like that, this is what we deal with. Read this. Oh, sorry, not that. That's our sister. This guy right here. So this guy is supposedly Eritrea. You could tell by his flag, he's Higdef, right? Okay. What does he write?
You want to fragment Eritrea?
Yeah, he says we're going to fragment.
Captain. Look,
Well, listen, but here's the
can I
thing.
speak on it?
Yeah, you can. The
Sure.
point of this is, if this guy is truly Eritrean, we just sat here for 1 hour and talked about the unity of Eritrea and how to fix our people, right?
Yeah.
So is he saying by helping the Afar people, we're going to fragment Eritrea? I understand he's Higdef. Like, I expect this. Go ahead, Jonas.
Okay. These are the kind of comments that need to be addressed head on, because he's not being logical and he's
There you
not
go.
being practical. If you infringe, if you infringe on somebody else's rights, do you expect unity or do you expect an enemy? It's that simple. So you cannot infringe on somebody's rights. And then if you infringe on somebody's rights, and then if you don't infringe on somebody's rights, right? Are you gonna? Do they have incentive to fragment the nation? No. Self-governance is something they're asking for because of the way because they're indigenous. Because there's a difference between collective rights and individual rights, and that's something that has to be educated on. Chances are this person probably lives in Europe, probably lives in Canada, probably lives in America, and he's in the system.
So Brother Jonas is 100% right. We call people like this Hademti. Hademti are the ones who ran from the regime and then support the regime from outside the Eritrea. Yeah. And what's sad about this, though, is also realizing this movement to help the Afar and the Muslims and unite. I realize what thing. There's levels. There's educational levels. There's life levels. So sometimes you might get someone who might comment not really educated, but the only thing they have left is Shabia. That's it. That's all they know. That's it. So if you say down Shabia, then they think you are working against Eritrea. They don't understand. Our brothers are dying. Our brothers are in prison. No one's speaking for our brothers. They're in containers. The Afar people are getting decimated. The Afar people population went from 600,000 to 400,000. The potash mining in the ocean that the Afar people are getting shot at while they're trying to protect they're not even trying to protect their land, much less just eat. They're just trying to eat.
Live off it.
Yeah, live off the land that's theirs. And they're getting killed by Europeans and Saadus and Eritreans.
Yeah, the UAE.
Arab.
Can I make a comment on that?
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. He said you want to fragment Eritrea. I think what he fails to understand is things like that fragment Eritrea by not recognizing everybody's equal.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And what they will do is attack people like you, like attack the messengers, because they cannot fight you on the issue. They cannot deny this. Like people are held in a contempt. Oh, can you hear me?
No, I can't. They can't mess with you intellectually, right?
Yeah, intellectually. You see what I'm saying? And so it's always, oh, you're Wayane, you're this, you're that, and this is just tired, whatever stuff that they're trying to intimidate people. They're trying to do that, but it's not going to work this time because. Hey, people are
changes on the way.
Your program.
30 change gonna come.
No matter what.
Everybody knows. Even Shabia supporters that you talk to, they will admit that the problem.
Privately.
30 years, guys. 30. So imagine 30 years we sat here, right? And let this government run amok, right? And we've been dealing with people like this and just ignoring the pain and the genocide internally in Eritrea. So now, when a country like Tigray gets attacked that had a democratic nation, everyone is like, no, this is wrong. But what I try to tell my Tigrayan neighbors and brothers is, listen, in Eritrea, the Afar have been getting destroyed. The Kunama been getting destroyed. The Tigray been getting, the Bini Amr, all because of what? What purpose? How come we don't have universities? How come we don't have, but before we go into different topics, I want you to explain to me, Brother Ahmed, and I'll let Jonas moderate on this one. Jonas, I'll let you ask about the potash because you work with them collectively. Go ahead and take over and run that potash and the mining and what's going on over there with the boats and everything else.
Okay, before we go there, see if you can post Abel's comment because I really like it.
Which one? Ignoring others' pain?
Ignoring others' pain. Yep, that's a good one.
Okay, got it. Let's go.
That's the reality of it right there. So that's his whole fragmentation piece. Read that right there. So, so what happened to the Afar people goes with Martin Luther King saying, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and we see the reality of what's happening now in Tigray. So we saw how that spread it. Before we get into the potash, let's handle 2 points, Ahmed.
Okay.
Number one is if you can educate the folks on collective rights and individual rights, and number two, if you can discuss on what's going on with TDF, Afar, the attacks, Ethiopian government, and that right there, since this is happening, since it's been happening the last week or so. But go ahead and explain collective rights versus individual rights first.
Well, I think those rights are enshrined in the constitutional democracy models that we have been enjoying here in Canada. If you want to look at examples, just in Canada or any other democratic nations in the world, you look at nations and you look at individuals. The individual rights, as for me, as individual, as Ahmed, as Canadian, as an Afar Canadian, my individual rights are enshrined in the Constitution of Canada. But at the same time, the group rights that we are talking about in Eritrea is also enshrined in the Constitution of Canada. This is why the First Nations, the Canadian government, and the what you call them in the state, founding fathers and others, the real founding fathers are the Indigenous people, and those people's rights are enshrined in the Constitution of America and Canada and elsewhere. So individual rights and group rights can be accommodated in the constitutional law and the law of the land. And that's what we're proposing, that Eritrea follow the route. Individual rights will be guaranteed, and the average. So, for example, let's say the Afar have self-determination, self-government in Eritrea as part of the states that comprise 9 regions of the state. So in this case, anybody, non-Afar, can come in, live, own a property, live in the land just like anybody else in Dankalia, and this will not diminish any of his rights. So as Afar in Dankalia, I would say, listen, we as a government of Dankalia, we have a special right to look after our people. Historically, we have been this. We fought against colonialism. We are dying in ethnic cleansing persecution. We need to change that. We need to educate our people. We need to address the child mother mortality rate. We need to fight the Afar illiteracy. We want to do all these things for the people as a group. This will not take away from this individual's right. From whoever ethnicity or religion he is from, he can live in peace in Dankalia in a way that constitutionally guaranteed. This is a good example that we can. This is the example that we live here in Canada, and we can live elsewhere. And there is no reason why we cannot live in Eritrea, given people have understanding of this, that giving right to the group will not take away anything from individual rights. So this is the way I see it. This is hopefully is helpful to your question, Brother Jonas.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much for clearing that up, because a lot of people, they were under their impression that maybe they couldn't live in Afar as an individual, and it just confused the situation. But you explained
it gives them the right, constitutional rights. The rights are guaranteed in the Constitution,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's still going to be
now
so, it's a far state, but it's Eritrea. So it's no different. We live in Canada or like the United States, and there's some like 50 states in the United States, 10 provinces in Canada, but they're all part of Canada, and at the same time they run their own affairs. So it's the same thing, and you can live there, you can work, you can build a house, you can do whatever. It's just Afars need special attention, is what we're saying, because we were left behind for so many years by different governments. Not only this government, but the previous government, started from Haile Selassie, all of Mengistu, or all that. There's a lack of education. There's a lack of medical services. There's a lack of a lot of things. So
historic marginalization.
People, yeah, unity bring them to the power is what I'm saying, and that's why we got to work hard for our people. And not only that, it doesn't mean we're not concerned about other Eritrea. We're equally concerned about other Eritreans, and but we believe we're a special case, and just that, like Ahmed explained it, and that's what.
That's perfect. Now, the one of the questions I have is, this is the big one because it's happening right now. The part with TDF, Afar civilians, the Afar army, and then the Prosperity Party. Can you explain what's been going on recently from the attacks and so forth on the civilians?
Yeah, it's a tragic situation is unfolding in the Afar territory. And like last information I got was about 70,000 Afar people were displaced from the Waredas, the districts that were happened in Yellow and in Kaluan and all of those areas. So this is to say that the war in Tigray have spilled to neighboring state, which is the Afar state on the north, and the Afar are paying the price. The Afar have no dog in this fight. You know, this is not their war. This is a war between the TDF and the war against Ethiopian Defense Force led by Abiy. This is not Afar's war to die or to be displaced. If Abiy wanted to take on to the on the Afar and on the TDF, he could have done so without bringing his military into the Afar region. So the TDF is following, preempting the attack on Ethiopian Defense Forces in the Afar. Unfortunately, the Afar are being the price for it. But it is Ethiopian government's fault to bring this fight to the Afar territory. They could have done it from the Amara region. They could have done it anywhere else, but they chose to bring that to the Afar people, and the Afar are suffering for it. Remember when there was a war ceasefire? I think most of you have seen what had happened there. Almost 30,000 Ethiopians were captive and were paraded in Megale, and the message from Ethiopian was they called for a ceasefire. Everyone can see that was not true. But if they can call a ceasefire in Tigray to save the people of Tigrayans, that's what Abiy claimed. How can he is not concerned about the life of the Afar people in the Afar region? So he could have called a ceasefire or not bring his militias or his military, whatever you call national defense force, to the Afar region. So he brought this by intention. We believe the Afar should stay away from taking sides. They're being victimized by this war, and we feel for the Afar. These are our brothers. We feel for their state. We feel for their safety, and it shouldn't be the fight, the pawn or somebody's puppet to die for the war that does not concern them.
Wow, that was a powerful. And then you heard it. Ahmed Mohamed is the president of Eritrean Afar National Congress. And he explained it very clearly that Abiy shouldn't be bringing the military force in Afar in the first place. And now you're having civilians paying the price. Afar civilians paying the price. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, accountability needs to be had. That's critical. A ceasefire needs to be done. That's critical. Investigations needs to be done, and accountability needs to be done. Aid needs to be given to all the victims. That's the reality of it. No matter how you look at it, that's what needs to be advocated. No matter what side you're on, that's what needs to be advocated. Period. Thank you, Ahmed, on that one, because that was a big one. Now let's go to potash. We have a GoFundMe account mentioned. Explain what's going on with the potash in terms of how the company will which the government and the companies teaming up to extract potash, how the resources are being used or expected to be used or lack of, and how Afars desires, Eritrean Afars, Eritreans as a whole, how they're expecting it should be done. So please go into that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a major one that is happening recently. It's only going to get worse in the coming months or perhaps a year, that when the potash company will start exporting this potash worth of billions of dollars. It says it's estimated to be about $2 billion annually for these corporations. So there are two corporations. We know one is Shabia. The other one is the Australian corporation. So they teamed up on the Afar territory. So to dig the potash from this traditional ancestral Afar land, they pushed aside the Afar people. They have displaced thousands. They brought in military brigades to guard the area where the potash was found. And as we speak, the Afar people are being displaced from that area. And many of those people who've been displaced were documented in the United Nations, UNHCR, in Ethiopia, in other areas. So what is happening is a mass atrocity against the Afar people by Eritrean regime that is using its wing. It's called Eritrean Mining and Enamco, I think is their abbreviation. They have signed a deal, 50-50% deal with the Australian corporation. Out of all its names, choose to take on the Afar name, which is the Nakali. Strangely, not enough these people are taking the resources of the Afar people, but now they want to take the ancestral and traditional name of Dankalia from the Afar people, and they're naming the corporation after them. So it's a double whammy, as they say. So what is happening is really our mind-boggling. It's disturbing. So this corporation is unchecked, is supported by the government. You know what? To go back to the government and the issue of the land and ownership. So the government of Eritrea is not stupid. So when they took power in 1991, they drafted a constitution, which many of the people in the opposition see as unimplemented 1997 constitution, which gives all the land, including the sea, the land and resources above and below the land, below the sea, is given to the Eritrean state. This is one thing that, as opposition, we need to really go through what this constitution means. Eritrea would probably come back and say, listen, we have a constitutional right to use this land. It's not, the land does not belong to Afar people, it belongs to Eritrea. You know what? Who gave you that right in the first place? The constitutional right that you're talking about, the constitution that was unimplemented, from the international view, it's unimplemented, but for us, it has been in force. It has been taken away, the Afar rights to own the land and resources. So the government is acting up on that, and they're displacing, and this is why they're selling the Afar strategic coast, like the port of Asab, to the people like United Arab Emirates. This is why the Afar fishermen are being killed on the sea as they go about and find food for their families. And this is why the Afar villagers in Hawakil, in Marsa Fatuma, and around this area, they've been displaced. And those, you can find all those fishermen as a refugee in Ethiopia now. I mean, this is what the government has been doing. It has done this in the Kunama territory in a potash deal that gained them millions of dollars from land they took unjustly by the use of labor force, by use of military conscript, slave labor. All of this to say that Eritrean regimes is enjoying this because it needs opposition like us. It needs people who say, take them to court. Let's fight them. Let's fight them internationally if we can't fight them on the land. So we need to do something about these land rights, not only for this happening to Afar today, but it's going to happen to others in the future. So in a nutshell, that's what is happening in regards to Kaluli Parash. The government is selling illegally obtained land to the international multinational corporations.
And then Shehem, if you can add, and just so you guys know, Kaluli is on the border of Eritrea. It's on the Eritrean side, of course, and then it's close to Ethiopia. So we can talk a little bit about that too. But Shehem, if you can discuss about the GoFundMe account and how Eritrean Afar views how the resources should be used according to even what it says on the GoFundMe.
Yeah, before I discuss that, I want to add one thing to this is when somebody told me a while back, and when Shabia took power, they say we own everything. We own you, we own your kids, we own the land. You don't own nothing. It all belongs to us. So this is what's going on with the protest. So, I mean, you can see it's everywhere, not on the Afar areas, but they own everything, right? They own the people, they own the land, they own your kids. You don't have control over it. They can send them to Sawa, whenever they want to. So this is just part of that. And then the other thing is the potash. We have a GoFundMe page. Ahmed will explain it to you in details. But we want to fight this corporation. At the same time, we want to fight the dictatorial regimes at the same time. So we're going to take them. We're going to take them to court on this because over 10,000 people are displaced. Most of them are refugees in Ethiopia. Some of them, they lost their land, their way of life, and everything. And we want everybody to join us in this fight. We want Eritreans to join us, and I'm sure we're going to win it. And so just be on the good side, and I say, just join us on this fight, and we will fight them.
Absolutely.
If you can display our GoFundMe page and your later on your YouTube video.
I just sent it to you, Captain.
Yeah.
Just sent it to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Shehem. Thank you. And that GoFundMe link, we're gonna keep.
Sorry to cut you off, but go ahead and continue to talk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share this Dankala video, and then I'm going to find the GoFundMe, and I'm going to share that while we go on break. But continue. I'm going to share that as you guys are talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Shehem. Because we're gonna continue to raise for the fund, and we know a lot of people that are willing to donate to it. And at the same time, the fund is designed to pretty much build the case. And then, so Nevsun was an organization that was being sued in Canada for the slave labor, and that's what happened. That's the reality of it. And I think that one ended up being settled, but I think they've been taken to another level on that one, so it's still continuing too. So with that being said, this is an avenue that can be taken. At the end of the day, explain to the public how the resources should be used once developments happen, because that's important, because we don't want the public to think, hey, you can't touch the land. No, the issue is people are getting oppressed, displaced, genocided on for the land. If everything was in cooperation, then resources can be used properly. How should it be used? Go ahead.
Absolutely. You want to do that after the video, or you want me to? What's Captain's plan here?
Yeah, let me play this video so
take
people
a quick break. I think it's only 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys can go on break. I'll make this full view, and then I'll play the video for everyone to watch. I love this video. It's beautiful. Everybody, just pay attention and watch. Thank you. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
سبق مسوعات يا دي ساحلي والي مرتبط مراكبك مفتقة دقالي أي وحيسري قال لي قرمو
dankali hangi yahan barnaamiji eritrea afarat yakkihniyan samad baisai dankali hatu deke tumiti rakakai siyasa ke afar sarrimani gehlo gugus wagita malai bhurutin kadai de yosnahnan barnaamiji EANC Facebook ke YouTube gita kane katatan malai kadal kuisin arahibisi
عصام لباعة الحلين اننا نجلس على تاريخ ابني مالينا نويا بدي مرسوم 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 مالينا نويا ونوح السماء فردان الليا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا بدل السكت طريق لميا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا يا عرم قدر الليا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا مالي عند البوري للنيا بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا 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 بدي مرسوم مالينا نويا.
All right.
Thank you, Captain. Hey, real quick, can I answer? Someone asked a question. I think Rahwa Haile was trying to have an understanding of what self-determination is, and then someone answered her and said self-determination means to make Afar a nation. So, Ahmed, if you can explain what self-determination is to Rahwa, and then that way she doesn't get misunderstood by somebody else.
Yeah, I think I saw Rahwa's. It's a long text. I've seen it, and they mentioned Yemen in Ethiopia. I think if that's not the one, but yeah, generally the Afar are already a nation. Okay, and we were a nation long before Eritrea was conceived, or Eritrea became a nation state. So, taking that into consideration, that the Afar would definitely self-determination. When we mean self-determination, as explained, the internal self-determination. This means how to be part of Eritrea that respects the rights of the Afar people. You know, I gave examples of where international. So self-determination, I think, the word self-determination was misused. And I think after 1991, the changes that brought about independence of Eritrea, the changes that saw the TPLF take over Ethiopian thing, all of this to say is that self-determination was taken in a wrong way, so that people are misunderstanding what self-determination means. Self-determination means the rights for someone, a nation or a state, or a people, a group of people, can claim their rights and be part of what that movement is. Where if that entity is a state of Eritrea, people want to be part of that nation so they can play their respected role in that country, in a nation like we're used to here in the Western world. Be part of the state. It doesn't mean that you will break up the nation. There was one thing also that have been dogging us, that been following us for so many years, is that there is another organization called ARSADO, Red Sea Afar Democratic Organization. This is no longer there. They have been dissolved or whatever happened to them. They are no longer there. Maybe a few of them in diaspora. But this organization had, in self-determination, they had up to secession in their political program. As so many Eritreans have seen that, okay, if the Afar cannot get their self-determination, they're about to secede from Eritrea. So they put that ideologies together, and so they've used against the Afar to deny the rights of self-determination to the Afar people. So people are taking that views and they're using it deliberately to deny the rights of self-determination. And they know exactly what self-determination means. Internal self-determination means that you are part of the state. You are part of the united country. You are only after what your internal autonomy and political rights in that nation. That's what it means. And for Ethiopia and Yemen, I think her comment was, we're referring to Ethiopia because the Afar have enjoyed in the federal arrangement in Ethiopia, the Afar regional state has been recognized as one of the states in Ethiopia. So that's our example to show that the Afar have already part of the federation in Ethiopia. But nothing in Yemen. There is no Afars that are asking for self-determination in Yemen.
Thank you so much. That makes sense too. So Ethiopia's Afar is an example of what autonomy could look like for Eritrean Afar, is what I'm understanding as a state.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now back to the question earlier about how resources should be used and shared among all Eritreans, so that way they can public can understand what solidarity looks like with resources, how it should be working.
Yes. Again, the resources of Dankalia, it doesn't mean it belongs to the Afar people only, but we want the resources of the Dankalia to address the greater marginalization of Afar people, historic marginalization of Afar people. We want those resources to be used according to the law, according to the constitution. And we like, again, I look into examples of other nations how do other nations are doing to resolve the issues of resources. The issues of resources have been resolved through constitution again. And then the resources in for example, if there is a massive gold or natural gas or potash is found in Dankalia, which exists in Dankalia, which has not been discovered yet, but we know it's there. When that happens, it will lift the people of Eritrea from poverty. This includes the Afar people. The Afar people will be addressed in a shared resource sharing scheme that is being used internationally. Portion of the resources revenues will address the needs of the Afar people in Dankalia, and the other portion will address the issues of Eritrea as a whole. So this can be agreed upon. This can be discussed, but this is not to say it all belongs to the Afar people and the other people have no right in it. We're against that. We want to see everybody in Eritrea benefit from the resources of Dankalia and Eritrea. So that's the way we look at the resources of Dankalia.
Perfect, and vice versa. So when resources are discovered in other parts of Eritrea, it also gets shared among all of Eritreans. Yeah, and so that's how it should be done. But the reality is, people are getting displaced, land grabbing, and getting moved around, and so forth. Oppression, genocide over the years. The evidence is in the reality. It already happened, and it's already happening. So anybody who disputes it, go ahead and dispute it, but you're wasting your time. Focus on the reality, focus on solving the problem, focus on solidarity, focus on humanity, focus on rights. All right, so with that, let's move on to here's the GoFundMe link, Captain, and Shehem, if you guys want to introduce that.
Yeah, good.
Yes, I will let Shehem speak, but I wanted to say, I've been seeing, if you watch the تقرينات تزارون حتريو لهم كندي معات تخفيت له كندي جنزب توهيو مالو $165, and I'm seeing anonymous 2 days, 7 days, To me, this is shameful. This is why. So what that tells me right there is the Afar get no support. We were able to raise almost $10,000 in a week, right? For victims of genocide and this and that. And you're trying to tell me all these people that come here talk about how great Eritrea is, Shabia. Well, take care of your brothers. Where you at? Where you at? Where are you now? You don't want to hear me say that, but there's people here talking nonsense about how we're creating an issue trying to separate Eritreans. No, we're highlighting the people Eritreans forgot. We're highlighting the people, the Afar people that are on our coast, that when Isaias Afwerki was going to sell Asab to Abiy Ahmed, these are the people that are going to be removed and killed. These are the people that are going to go from 600,000 to 400,000 to 100,000. These are the people that if one bomb strikes that area, they're extinct in Eritrea, and everybody else that's left is outside of Eritrea. So how do you preserve Eritrea? By strengthening the people, the indigenous people that are there, is the only way you could
That's
preserve
deep, brother.
Eritrean history. So when my children grow up and they say, "Hey, Dad, what is Eritrea?" Tigrinya speakers, that's incorrect. What is Eritrea? Konama, Afar, Djibouti. You just can go forever. There's so many tribes in Eritrea, and if we remain quiet and don't empower them, it'll be like the dinosaurs. The people will be lost, our history will be lost, and then later on, guess what happens? Saadu are going to take over Africa and Eritrea. This is the problem. So wake up. This is bigger than you think it is. So anyways, I'll let Brother Ahmed speak on this fun razor they got going on. If you're my friend and you support Captain Eritrea, go to my page and you'll find this link on the top. Donate. And I know I've been asking you guys to donate for many things, but if you got the willpower, do it, or wait, and we can continue to build this, because I'm going to be pushing this heavy. Go ahead, Brother Ahmed.
Thank you so much.
Shehem.
Yeah.
Shehem, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to add that, like he said, we need support. We need your support. We're part of Eritrean community, and we need your help. It's like a David and Goliath fight, and we're gonna need all the help we can get. So please participate. Just don't remain on the sidelines, and just be part of the change, and just join us, and just donate, and donate.
Make a
I
difference.
can't stress that. Donate. All right. Thank you, guys.
Go
Beautiful.
ahead, Ahmed.
Yeah.
Ahmed,
So so what is happening here is, like I mentioned, the corporation is unchecked, running amok, displacing thousands of your fellow Eritreans. They are doing so at the blessing of the Eritrean regime. The regime gave them this land. They call it, this is a no man's land. Go ahead and do whatever you want. Dig a potash, displace people if you have to. It's all yours to take. We're saying no. There is people, there is indigenous people, there is a people who own this land ancestrally, territorially. Those people are Afar people. Those are Eritrean Afar people. And they have a life, they had a livelihood, they had a way of life, they had a culture. And even one of the pictures what they were showing, standing some of the employee of this Koluli Potash, they're taking pictures of these graves, of the Afar graves, and perhaps those bulldozers that you see here to move those Afar remains to make a dig potash from there. So this is all to say is that we need to fight back. And this is an easy fight, brothers. This is it's a fight that's gonna require your wallets in your pockets. It's not. We're not telling you to pick up arms and fight Shabia. Yeah, we need you for that later on. But what we need is right now we're gonna fight these. I don't want to say the bad word, but we want to fight these guys in a way they understand. We're gonna have to put up funds to fight the displacement of our people. We want to put together a strong evidence against the people. We need resources for that. We need witnesses. We're going to collaborate, not just money, but those people who have information, those people who work in that mining potash mines as slave laborers, as conscript. We want them to come forward. You can contact Jonas or Captain or myself. You know, we need those kind of funds. We need those kind of collaborative action. So we can say, if we were to defeat this company, they will be responsible to the people of Eritrea, not to the tyrannical regime in Asmara. So this will set a precedence. This will make the ball, the wheel moving, so that other Eritreans can take on these corporations, like the Nefsan. Eritreans took on to Nefsan against Nefsan, and the company settled that and recognized there's slave labor, and they had a black eye for that. So let's give this company a black eye. Let's take them to court. Let's have those resources and the rightful owners be respected and addressed in a just way. So that's what we want all of you to support. We want you to support financially. This thing is going to go beyond. This is a current this issue. Like I mean, even the UNDP, I think some of the UN organization is calling this as a game changer for Eritrea, meaning it will lift Eritrea from poverty. But no, it's not going to lift Eritreans from poverty, but is empower the regime to stay on the necks of Eritreans for years to come. We're not just fighting the corporation, but we are fighting the regime indirectly, so that we can put a stop to the misery of the Eritreans who have been dying in the Mediterranean Sea, who have been dying in the prisons of Eritrea. So we want to fight both sides. When we fight this directly in the legal means, so that will stop the cash flow to the regime. Indirectly, we're fighting the regime. So that's what we're doing in this. Also, we're raising awareness so that people can join the fight with the Afar fight, and things will change. Believe me. I mean, we suffered enough. Things are changing in the region. We're going to be, the Afar will be in the forefront of this regime change in Eritrea. And as we have been forefront at the time of the ELF, or the time of Haraka, or the time of colonialism, against the colonialism, we're going to be in the forefront. All we need is support from rest of Eritreans to come join us to make a difference in the peoples of Eritrea.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. So Jonas, we have a lot of people writing. I'm trying to keep up with everything. We do have Higdef operative here. The guy, John Smith, he asked, was it John Smith? Yeah, he asked, we'll get to that in a second. He asked, where's the money going? How is it getting appropriate? And the money's low. We'll explain that. But for Tsega, or whatever your name is, this money doesn't go to me. I have nothing to do with this. I'm going to empower my Afar people. You can see your way out. Whether you like that or not, it doesn't matter. You can't stop us. Captain,
money's going to lawyers, man.
Yeah, you could call me Captain Afar from now on. I heard you guys can call me Captain Afar. Change my name.
Captain Afar.
Yeah, Captain Afar. That's gonna be my new name.
Beautiful.
One of them, John Smith, says Shabia does not equal Higdef. Let me explain that to him. Okay, you have to understand, Shabia may not equal Higdef historically, but Shabia has turned into Higdef. The remnant of Shabia has turned into Higdef, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
The T.R.A.P initially started with the EPLF, TPLF movement, and then they turned against TPLF. Now Shabia has collectively mutated to Higdef, and some of the Shabia, the minute Isaiah said, I khasarnan, and he sold our country to Ethiopia, he tried to, that's when all of you jump ship. Don't act like we don't know. The truth is, let's talk the truth, brother, right? The minute he married Abiy publicly, that's when all of you decided to be opposition. Until then, Shabia was continually to become Higdef. Let's speak the truth. That's what we're saying here. We're not saying we don't respect our martyrs. We respect our martyrs. Anybody that ever died for Eritrea, whether you were Shabia or Jebha or anything like that, we respect you as our fathers that died for our land. Afar, Muslim, Christian, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, what is Shabia now? Not talking about past, now, Higdef. Just to teach you a little something before you say you've been on this channel trying to teach us that. You can't teach us something we all were under and grew up under. That's one. Two, as far as I'm glad you're asking about where the funding is going to go. We just gave a whole show on the Afar Nation. If you're really that interested and you really care, then you will contact me on Messenger. You will contact our brother Ahmed and figure out what you need to figure out. Because a lot of people come here to distract, but not to help. And then when you say Captain's trying to take money and this and that, that's your take that as you want. I don't care. I'm telling you, I don't make a dime out of this, but I'm going to help my people with or without you. That's what Eritreanism is. Eritreanism is an Isaiasism. I'm not Eritrean because I worship Isaias. That's for you puppets. I'm not Eritrean because I worship Wayene. No, I'm Eritrean because I want to be Eritrean. I was born in Eritrea and I care about my entire Eritrea. Therefore, I'm here to teach you zombies that support Isaias Afwerki what Eritreanism is. Eritreanism does not equal Isaiasism. Remove Isaiasism. Eritrean is Eritreanism. Nate meninate, my land, my people, includes Afar and everybody else. Even if they have cousins in Ethiopia, so what? Afar and Eritrea is what I'm concerned with. The Afar nation can deal with their own people in Ethiopia once we get a liberated Eritrea. Until then, we focus on Eritrea. Sorry to cut you off.
Can I add one?
I think.
Can I add one? I think these people they misunderstood what patriotism is. You know, patriotism is it doesn't mean you love the government. Patriotism is to love your country and to love your people. And if you sitting here in comfortable place and you don't care about those people, I'm sorry, but you're not a patriot. You actually hate Eritrea. I'm gonna go that far to say that you hate Eritrea. If you don't care about what's going on in Eritrea today, don't call yourself Eritrean because you're not. And don't come in here call people Wayane and all that stuff. And the biggest problem is you. You know, and I'm getting a little bit emotional, but you're not a patriot and you're not Eritrean. If you don't care about your brother back home and you don't care about your brother who's died in the sea trying to cross to Europe, and if you don't care about your brother who's left in a container in 120-degree heat, I don't know how you call yourself. I don't know how you call yourself a human being in the first place. And
Absolutely.
Really, I mean, if you don't care about your young children going to war in Tigray, they had no business to, and dying and just to kill other people and to torture other people just so SAS can be happy. You know, I don't think you're Eritrean. Don't call, because we cannot secede this ground to these people, is what I'm saying. And don't let them call you Wayane. Don't let them call you all those things, because we're 100% more Eritrean than you will ever be, and we're gonna fight back. And that's my message today. So don't come in here.
Shehem, what's astonishing to me is they're saying we're working to separate Eritrea, but we're here because no one ever speaks of the Afar. So I'm trying to educate them about Eritreans that no one is speaking about and highlighting, so we can unite Eritreans. I feel like it's a mental sickness or some sort of mental issue. But I need you to explain how the funding works for this John Smith guy, so he can understand, Ahmed, who opened this, where it goes, so transparency. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. No, the funding was, in fact, the GoFundMe was organized and opened by Shehem here, who's here with us. We're fighting back in a way we can. That is to hit the corporation, and we're putting together a legal team, and we are putting together witnesses. We are putting together other necessary resources that we can fight back the corporation in Australia. The corporation is Australian-owned corporation. We can't do it here in Canada. We can't do it in the United States. It has to take shape in the country that owns. And as far as I know, someone has explained to me it can also take in the UK because they are officially public trading in the London Stock Exchange now. So someone are saying we can take them in court in London too. So we are going to put this resources, whatever funds we receive, 100% will go to fight this company, and we are taking back the Afar rights through legal structure that is given to us. that is not afforded to us in our country, in Eritrea, but we are thankful that courts in the UK, courts in the UA, in Australia has given us that opportunity, and we taken step towards that. That's where the funds will go.
Excellent, thank you, brother. Jonas, go ahead.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Ahmed, for explaining that, because that's a critical thing. Whenever time you deal with fundraising, it's important that we are transparent on how the money is going to be used, and at the same time, what the intention is. And so with this project, the bottom line is people have been displaced, oppressed, and so forth. And there's either environmental impacts, and then on top of that, resources are not used properly. The evidence is the reality. Someone mentioned the wealth is distributed equally. Okay, prove it. To make a statement like that, prove it, because that's 100% false. If that was the case, there wouldn't be people taking refuge for economic reasons, like they say.
Yeah,
they would be taking refuge for persecution, like they say. So your claim is false based off of that reality. And so with that, with the people that are trying to distract, the reality is we're making noise and we're making our intentions clear, so we're doing the right thing. Let's continue to focus on raising money. Let's continue to focus on solidarity and unity, and to continue to focus on helping Eritreans do better. And thank you, Ahmed, for that.
You're welcome. I like to add on to what the person, the statement that you're reading, that the wealth is spread fairly. Where is the money that Shabia received when they displaced Afar people from Makaka in Asab territory? The rumors are those are 30-year agreement worth about $500 million. Okay, did you receive any penny? Did you see anything was built in Asab from those people? That in fact they lost what they had. They have not received any penny. Where's that money go? It went to war. Okay, to fight for Abiy and to fight the Tigrayans. It went to all of this. If that's your understanding of spreading wealth, then you're wrong again. So we haven't seen any money that addressed the Eritrean people's need. Do you see any new hospitals in Asmara or any in Karen or anywhere else? No, we haven't seen. They're crumbling. In fact, they're being closed. Look at what's happening in terms of religious rights. They're closing down all these privately owned schools, including in Asab. The money is used for atrocities, man. The money is used to displace Eritreans. Okay, what about those $100 millions that were gained from the gold of Bisha? Did you see any Konama people are well off because of the gold that was discovered in territory? No, they're dying as refugees. So stop with this nonsense that the wealth is spread equally and fairly in Eritrea.
There you go. If you want to be a fool, stop. Don't ask logical questions. I mean, the reality is you don't want to continue being a fool, especially if you're Eritrean. You don't want to be foolish. Focus on being wise. Focus on humanity, and then that will lead you towards the right direction. So thank you again, Ahmed. Let's focus on something that's more productive now. We don't need to deal with these what we call haters.
You guys are absolutely right. So what I wanted to say is we're rearing up on 2 hours. I really enjoyed this, and now you just gave me an idea, brother Jonas, or brother Ahmed, and Shehem, with the amount of. So you have to understand, with the Higdafawi that come here, it's usually one person with like 10 accounts. We know how they operate, right? It's okay. So like he said, forget the distractions. But you know what this does? This
fake news.
This really has motivated me, seeing that they're working so diligently. Right now, they're really upset that we're bringing attention to the Afar. So this motivates me and my team to even push harder. So therefore, we were going to do Eritrean refugee a GoFundMe after the GoFundMe that we're doing now. We're gonna support your Afar GoFundMe that you have. We're gonna push it all over social media, and I know
appreciate it.
Our sister Salam Jonas. When I say Salam Jonas, you're talking about Team Freedom, Yaakul people. Team Freedom is organized of everyone, like Yaakul, Asena, you name it. Everybody. There's all kinds of people, different countries, different states in the U.S. So if I can get them collectively to push this and make this Afar thing a super publicized thing, I think we can eventually do a lot of change. And I think we can highlight the issues in Afar. We can
Absolutely.
educate the people on Afar by having a Twitter and flyers, and I want you guys to come back,
Absolutely.
and Jonas will also host this Afar session if you guys want to invite more people. And I think if we continue to educate Eritreans, I think people will finally realize and understand. My personal opinion, so far, I've been 100% correct from the time this war has started, from Sudan getting involved, Egypt getting involved, what Tigray is going to do, what Eritrea is going to do. I've been 100% correct. I've not been wrong yet. And you know what? One thing that I will say, to me, I think Afar nation is the key to what will happen to Eritrea collectively. I have a
Absolutely.
feeling when
Believe
Eritrea
him.
is freed, liberated, or whatever happens, is going to involve the Afar nation. Because what people don't know is the resistance of the Afar people has been ongoing and still going now, but no one ever talks about it.
500 years, brother.
Exactly.
We may be down while we're not out.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
No, with that said, if there's any closing remarks, I will give to brother Shehem first, then our brother Ahmed, Jonas, me, and then we're out, gentlemen. That'll put us at 2 hours, and then we'll come back again, reconvene probably for another show, and we'll move like that. Brother Shehem.
Yeah, thank you, Captain, for having us and allowing us to discuss the Afar issues and the whole written issues as well. And thank you, Ahmed, and thank you, Yunus, for being a part of this discussion. And my message is just let's all work together as Eritreans, as one, and just work hard. But let's work to free our people from the oppression and that what we're in today, and then work hard to bring about democracy and freedom, not only to Afars but to all Eritreans. And thank you for having us here. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and it was educational and it was everything. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. There's a lot of people watching. They're very excited to have you guys. There's a lot of our older people, fathers that raised us. They've been waiting on this day. And there's a lot of Canadian Eritrean Jabha fighters and this and that have called me personally. Hey, let me know when the show is. I really want to support. I'm loving this. Brother Ahmed.
thank you so much. I mean, this has been a really enjoyable conversation. We need to have more of this, and you can't thank you enough, Brother Dawid, Captain Eritrea, and Jonas, and Salem, and Lala, and all the Abel, and all of those team efforts that put your team effort and your consideration to bring the Afar issue to the forefront. This means a lot. This means more than money. This means friendship. This means camaraderie. We're going to do it together. We're going to change. We're going to make Eritrea, like you were saying, Captain, let the Afar be the light. Let the Afar be the guide. We have been used before, to bring about the liberation of Eritrea and the independence of Eritrea. We don't mind being that. We are the indigenous people. We're going to be there regardless. Shabia and Afwerki will be gone. I guarantee you, the Afar, he cannot remove the Afar people from Dankalia, from the traditional, land and air and sea. You know what I mean? So they can use all their might, the systemic oppression and all of marginalization, all of starving our people. They won't be able to wipe out the Afar people from Dankalia. So we going to resist that, and we are thankful. We cannot thank you enough for organizing young people, because young people are key. Like you said, the older generations, it's like they say, it's very hard to teach an old dog. An old dog a new trick. You know what I mean? So we are really encouraged by your solidarity.
Like this guy, Ahmed. See the message right there? That's the dog you can't trick. You can't
yeah, we're gonna have to ignore him. We're gonna move forward, and we are in good hands. I'm telling you guys, you're giving us a very positive vibe, and we are there's a lot more like you, and we want to discuss and have this conversation with them. And the Afar, a part of Eritrea, will remain part of Eritrea, and we will deliver Eritrea from the tyrannical system that is ruining the future of Eritreans. So thank you again. Appreciate it, brothers.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Jonas Howie.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Shehem. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be in the same platform as you two, and also with you, Captain.
Likewise.
It's a solidarity, unity is the key. Recognition, each other's struggles is critical. Education, like Adiyam had earlier, education is critical. And without that, without knowing, how do we expect to have reconciliation? And so I truly recognize everything that's been going on, and I'm going to continue to learn more, and we're going to continue to do more collectively. So I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking forward for another
so much.
session. Thank you.
All right, I guess it's up to me to give the closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to say thank you for coming. I appreciate you all, my Eritreans, Africans, Kolahum. I don't care if you're Nigeria, South Africa, whatever. You came, you spent your time with us. You got to meet our brothers. I'm very, very excited to bring Team Afar here with us. Our brother Ahmed, our brother Shehem, Jonas helped me today. I know we had a slight issues in the beginning because we couldn't get on the internet, but I want to say thank you so much to my Eritrean, Hizbi Eritrean. These are our brothers that have been long forgotten, abused, used. Oh yeah, and the liberation of Eritrea all the way to now. Their population has dwindled, but who is to gain? Ask yourself. It ain't the 9 Behears. One individual and his regime at the expense of Afar children, Afar mothers, Afar grandfathers, our history collectively, right? And then they let Saadus come in and take what belongs to Eritrea. So Eritrea collectively is being sold under your nose, and we sitting there and doing nothing about it. If we don't highlight this and educate you on what's happening in the world, the Afar people are the definition of Eritrea. What's happening to them? They defined Eritrea. And then you can move into highlanders, lowlanders, and everything else. But you can't forget the most important key element in every combat, in every situation we had to include Ethiopia or Saadus or Europe, Asab. Everyone wants Asab. But the key Asab are the Afar. And the Afar have to be destroyed for it to be taken easily because they've been resistant and they've been getting killed. But all you Eritreans, whether you're Sha'biya, you're Hegdev, you're Jabha, whatever you are, whatever you call yourself, justice seekers, the Gufti, whatever. If you truly care for your people, then hone in on the Afar, study the Afar, support the Afar, and then maybe we can all agree to disagree, but we can all agree on Hizbi Eritrea. And if we agree on Hizbi Eritrea, you can't have Eritrea without the Afar. There you go. So therefore, if we don't empower them, we will lose Eritrea. If we lose the port, نسعد تجزائنا تشيكنا إنا. إذا يوم تسمع حماق زاربو زلوا أتسمعوها. أنا بلوكم اللهم تحققنا بحسب أبريتريا مس أفر مكوناما مخلها نتنشعات بهر ولا رشايدا included. Who cares? There is good Rashida too. Not all Rashida are cliché. هم تبلوهم. أنا بلوكم اللهم بحسب تحققنا نزل سرعات السايس كنوردون نخل بجاهم حجزنا. I will go Meron Goitom. I will pin the GoFundMe. It's on my page as well. If you go to the top of my page, please. Haguzuom, iti nibrat not what belongs to us. We have to safekeep for our children, and we can start with the Afar because that is the key to Eritrea, and that port is the key to Eritrea. Please, I'm asking you, forget the hate. Let's support each other. We will be back to handle this show some more. We will bring our brothers, and we will continue to educate the people. Team Freedom, Team Afar, Congressional people, brothers, Yahweh, Muslims, Christians, Yahweh, one power to the people.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
All the best.
All right.